Hello students, today we will start our English class of class 7, A Short Life of Holy Mother, Chapter 3, Marriage. Shardamani was very young when she was married, so young that she could not clearly remember the event. She would afterwards say, I was married when the dates happened. Within 10 days of the marriage, when I went to Kamakapur, I used to gather dates from under the trees. So, Shardamani was married in a very early age and she was so young that she even could not remember the event. And afterwards, she used to tell us that I was married when the dates ripened, and within 10 days of her marriage, when she went to Kamarpur, she used to gather dates from under the trees. Such a little girl married, and Sri Ramakrishna giving consent to the marriage. To those who are very critical about it and pretend to be shocked, we may say that this kind of marriage is no more than a mere betrothal, after which the girl usually returns to her parents until sufficiently grown up. So, there is a myth. We may say that this kind of marriage is called, it's like a betrothal or like an engagement, and which the girls after that marriage or after that engagement, the girls used to return to her parents' house until sufficiently grown up. And in this particular case, the bridegroom lived on such a high plane that he could give no more serious thoughts to the marriage than a little boy gives to his playthings. This time, Sri Ramakrishna stayed at Kamarpur a little over 2 years. So, in this time, that means in this marriage time, Sri Ramakrishna was stayed there for 2 years. Before he returned to Dakshineshwar, he paid a short visit to his father-in-law's house in obedience to the family custom. So, just for the family custom, Ramakrishna paid a short visit to his in-law's house and brought Shardamani back to Kamarpur with him for a few days. At this time, Shardamani was only 7. Her mind not yet sufficiently developed even to know what marriage was. So, in that time, Shardamani was so young, she was only in the age of 7 that she even don't know what was marriage. When Sri Ramakrishna returned to Dakshineshwar, divine longing again seized him in all its intensity, and he forgot all about Kamarpur, his friends and relation and everything. So when Sri Ramakrishna again returned to Dakshineshwar, the heavenly desire captured him and he forgot all about Kamarpur, his relation, his friends and everything. The one thought which occupied his whole mind was how to realize the Divine Mother as a constant presence. Several spiritual storms seized him. Days and nights were spent in anguish because God was not a living reality to him. If the Divine Mother was a reality, why should she not be to him as tangible as the visible object around? He was consumed with that one longing. So, he was thinking that if the Divine Mother was a reality, then why he could not see her? He was decayed with only that desire. Sleep left him. He forgot all idea of food and drink. Worldly things or any talk about worldly affairs he dreaded and shunned as caution. While he was passing through this state of divine discontent, smaller minds thought that he was seized with a disease, that his brain was deranged. So, while he was passing through this situation, some smaller minds person thought that she was caught with a disease and that his brain was become mad. Physicians were called in medicines were tried, but all to no avail. The news gradually travelled to Kamarpukur that Sri Ramakrishna had gone mad. Chandramani was anxious for her beloved son. So the news gradually travelled to his house, Kamarpukur, and there his mother, Chandramani Devi, was become so anxious for her beloved son. She began to pray for him and offered worship to various gods. Jairambati being so near to Kamarpukur, the news certainly reached Jairambati too. So Jairambati was not so far from Kamarpukur, and that is why this news had reached to Jairambati also. But his wife being so young was perhaps unconcerned about the happenings at Dakshineshwar. Sharadamani was in that time so young that she was not concerned about what was happening in Dakshineshwar. Sharadamani's two subsequent visits to Kamarpukur were at the age of 13 and 14 years, when both Sri Ramakrishna and his mother were at Dakshineshwar. The next time she went there in 1867. She was privileged to stay with Sri Ramakrishna. When he arrived at Kamarpukur in that year, his anxious relatives and friends found that with all his deep religious feeling, he was quite a normal man in his ordinary dealings. So, when in the year 1867 Ramakrishna arrived at Kamarpukur, his concerned relatives and friends found that he was quite normal man with his ordinary dealings. That was a great relief to them. So then his relatives and friends relate. At this time, Sharadamani was brought to Kamarpukur from her father's house. This might be in a sense her first meeting with her husband. Sri Ramakrishna lived at Kamarpukur for about 7 months. During this stay, he did one great thing. Though his mind would constantly soar to the transcendental level, so that he was generally indifferent to anything worldly, when Sharadamani came to Kamarpukur, he seriously set about giving her proper training. So, in that time when Sharadamani came to Kamarpukur, Sri Ramakrishna started to train her. Sri Ramakrishna was by now a sannyasi. Now, Sri Ramakrishna a sannyasi. When his guru Totapuri learned that he had married, he remarked, "What if you were married?" So, Ramakrishna's guru was Totapuri, and when he heard that Ramakrishna had married, he remarked that, "What if you were married? The real taste of love for God is that even if the wife be near, the mind will not gravitate to the thought of sense pleasure." So, his guru Totapuri told that even the wife is nearer to you, the mind will not attract it to the thought of sense or pleasure. One is above all these ideas. These significant words of the Guru came to be illustrated in the case of the disciple. As Sri Ramakrishna now made Sharadamani and turned his mind to the fulfillment of his educational duties to his wife. So now Sri Ramakrishna became busy to fulfill his educational duties for his wife Sharadamani. Whatever Sri Ramakrishna would do, he would always do with perfect thoroughness. So, when he took upon himself the task of training Sharadamani, he brought to bear upon the work a sense of completeness. He talked to her not only of high spiritual matters, but also taught her how to do ordinary household duties. So, from here we can say that Ramakrishna taught her not only the high spiritual matters, but also the ordinary household duties. Shardamani appeared as purity itself, brought up in the innocent and unsophisticated atmosphere of village life and unsullied by any worldly thought. Found in Sri Ramakrishna not a husband in the common sense of the term, but one who was the embodiment of unspeakable love. So, Shardamani found Ramakrishna not as a husband, but as an image of unspeakable love. Of her experiences of this period, she used to say afterwards, Shardamani used to tell that, I felt as if a vessel full of divine bliss was permanently installed in my heart. So, she felt that a pot which is full of happiness was permanently installed in her heart. I cannot adequately describe the heavenly joy which filled my heart. She cannot properly describe the heavenly joy which filled her heart. She obviously felt that she had the rare privilege of receiving an unearthly treasure. With such feeling, she went back to Jairambati when Sri Ramakrishna again returned to Dakshineshwar. So, after this, Shardamani went back to Jairambati and Sri Ramakrishna went to Dakshineshwar. After Sri Ramakrishna reached Dakshineshwar, to all intents and purposes, he again forgot all about Shardamani. So, when Sri Ramakrishna reached Dakshineshwar, he forgot all the incident about Shardamani. But it was different with his wife, who had received such unalloyed bliss from him. But it was quite different for his wife. Her constant thought was centered on him. She longed to be with him at Dakshineshwar. But she consoled herself with the thought that one who had shown her such tender consideration at the very first meeting could not have forgotten her altogether. So then Shardamani desired to be with him at Dakshineshwar, but she consoled herself with the thought that Ramakrishna could not have forgotten her altogether. There will certainly come a very good time for Shardamani when she would be called to his side. Patiently and silently she waited for that auspicious moment, and she will wait for her husband Sri Ramakrishna very patiently and silently for that good moment when he will call his wife. So now come to the next chapter, chapter number 4, first visit to Dakshineshwar. At this period, one could find a decided change in her conduct and behavior. So in this period, one can find the change of nature and behavior in Shardamani. She now became more quiet and serious, an embodiment of love and sympathy for all, and ready to adapt herself to any circumstance. So now she became more serious and quiet, and her heart was full of sympathy and love. Her inward bliss was so great that no earthly difficulty or suffering could affect her. She would have continued in that exalted state except for the fact that whispers went round in that small village that her husband had gone mad. So, some people used to tell in that time that her husband became mad in Dakshineshwar. While Sri Ramakrishna passed his days in divine ecstasy, people interpreted his extraordinary behavior as signs of mental derangement. So while Sri Ramakrishna was passing his days in divine joy, in heavenly joy, people interpreted his extraordinary behavior as a madness. and this news spread to all his relations. People of Jairambati began to show sympathy for Sharadamani's sad plight. So this news spread all over Jairambati, and the people started to show sympathy for Sharadamani's sad situation. Little knowing that the expression of such sympathy made her suffering much worse, and Sharadamani was not feeling well by hearing this type of news. Sharadamani avoided socializing and busied herself with work so that she might not have to hear any gossip with reference to her husband. Then Sharadamani started to busy herself with some work and avoided socializing just because at that time she didn't want to hear any gossip about her husband. But the rumor was very strong that Sri Ramakrishna had gone mad, that he went about naked and muttered unintelligible words. So the rumor was so strong that people started to tell that Sri Ramakrishna gone mad and he went about uncovered and muttered complicated words. So they assumed that this is the sign of full madness. Could it be true? Thought Sharadamani to herself. Is he then not what I found him to be? If it be so, then it is my duty to be by him at this critical moment. So then Sharadamani thought that it can be true. If it be so, if it is true, then my duty, that means Sharadamani's duty is to be with him at this critical moment. But how could she go to Dakshineshwar? The idea was next to impossible for a person like her, situated as Jairambati was at such a great distance and the communication also so difficult. So this idea to go to Dakshineshwar was very impossible for Sharadamani because Jairambati was so far from Kolkata, and the communication was also very difficult. But the silent prayers of a sincere and devoted heart were heard by God, and an unexpected opportunity presented itself to Sharadamani for going to Dakshineshwar. But the silent prayer of a very sincere devotee heard by God, and an unexpected opportunity came to her. On an auspicious occasion, some women from neighboring village were going to Calcutta for a bath in the Ganga. So, for some good occasion, neighboring village women were going to Calcutta for bath in the Ganga. Sharadamani expressed a desire to be in that pilgrim party. When the news reached the ears of her father, he at once understood the real cause behind her desire. So, when this news reached to her father's ears, then he at once understood the real cause for going to Dakshineshwar, and that's why her father gave permission to go. So he readily gave permission and himself accompanied the party so that his beloved Sharada might be well taken care of. The distance of about 100 kilometers had to be covered on foot. So they have to cover 100 kilometers distance on foot. Only the rich could afford to go in a palanquin. Only the rich people can afford the palanquin. And that luxury was out of the question for poor Ramchandra. Ramchandra, father of Sharadamani. So, as that luxury. So, it was a very luxurious for them to go by palanquin. He along with his daughter started on foot. Sharadamani, unaccustomed to walking a long distance. So, Sharadamani was not so used to for walking such a long distance. Found the journey strenuous, so it was very laborious for Sharadamani. But physical suffering was nothing compared to the joy of meeting the master. So she altogether ignored any hardship that come on the way. So she ignored the hardship, the obstruction on her way. But on the third day, before the party could reach Calcutta, on the third day, before the party reached Calcutta, Sharadamani had a high fever. It was impossible for her to walk in spite of her desire to continue the journey. So it was quite impossible for her to continue the journey because she had a high fever. So a shelter had to be found in a cottage built for travelers. They had seen a cottage built for travelers. At night, the fever rose very high, and Holy Mother used to. At night, the fever rose very high, and Sharadamani lost all outward consciousness. So then Sharadamani became senseless. The Holy Mother used to narrate afterwards that while she was in that condition, she saw in a vision that a girl, dark in complexion but exquisitely beautiful in appearance, sat by her side, caressing and nursing her. So afterwards, Sharadamani used to tell that she was in that condition when she have seen a vision that a girl with dark complexion but an extraordinarily beautiful in appearance sat by her side and started to nursing her. When she was asked, the girl said that she came from Dakshineshwar, that she was a Holy Mother's sister. So the girl told that she was a sister of Holy Mother and she had came all the way to receive Sharadamani to Dakshineshwar. After that, Sharadamani fell asleep. Strange to say, the next morning the fever was gone and she was able to start. So after that, Sharadamani fell asleep, and it was very strange that in the next morning she was fit. On the way, she had fever again, but Ramchandra somehow managed to reach Dakshineshwar by nightfall. So, again she had fever, but her father somehow managed to reach Dakshineshwar within that night. What was the anxiety of Sri Ramakrishna to see Sharadamani come in that condition? Immediately he busied himself in making all arrangements for the patient and set up a bed for her in his own room. So, how was the concern of Sri Ramakrishna? By saying his wife came to Dakshineshwar, immediately he busied himself for making the arrangement of the patient of Sharadamani and set up a bed for her in his own room. Often he repeated in great sorrow, but with childlike simplicity, "You have come when dear Mathur is no more. Had he been alive, no difficulty whatsoever would arise as to taking care of you." So then Ramakrishna told that you have come, so Sharadamani have come. When Sharadamani came, then Mathur is no more. If he been alive, if Mathur been alive, then there would no problem to take care of Sharadamani. Now that he is gone, who can take his place? But did Sharadamani receive less care? No. Sri Ramakrishna himself began to nurse and attend to her day and night, and that so carefully that in the course of 3 or 4 days she was all right. So then Sri Ramakrishna started to nursing her and for day and night, and after 3 or 4 days Sharadamani was all right. After that, Shardamani was shifted to the ground floor of the Nahabad, where she stayed with Chandramani, her mother-in-law, who was at that time at Dakshineshwar. So after that, Shardamani was shifted to the ground floor of Nahabad, another building where she stayed with her mother-in-law Chandramani Devi, who was at that time at Dakshineshwar. Shardamani could hardly believe her eyes when she found her husband, who was reported to have gone mad, feeling so much anxiety at her illness and showing so much kindness and affection. Was there any woman in this world so blessed as to receive such loving care from her husband? So Shardamani could hardly believe her eyes that she found the image of her husband, which was exactly opposite the rumor, and she was feeling so much good, and she was feeling at her illness and showing so much kindness and affection. Was there any woman? And Shardamani was telling them, was there any woman who can get so much love and affection and care from her husband? Shardamani knew for certain that whatever might be people's opinion, her divine husband was perfectly right. Not only that, but there had not been the least change in his attitude toward her. So, Shardamani have seen that there have not a little bit change in Sri Ramakrishna, but there had been a good caring in his attitude toward his wife. Ramchandra was glad to see his daughter happy and comfortable at Dakshineshwar. Then Ramchandra, father of Sharadamani, was very glad to see his daughter very happy and comfortable at Dakshineshwar. So he returned to his village home, leaving Sharadamani in the privileged position of serving her husband and old mother-in-law. Then Ramchandra was happy to see that his daughter is very happy and comfortable at Dakshineshwar, and then he returned to his village home very happily, and Sharadamani got the chance to serve for her husband and old mother-in-law. It was in March of 1872 that the Holy Mother reached Dakshineshwar. About 5 years after she had last seen the master at Kamarpukur. Sri Ramakrishna at this time lived in constant divine communion. The greater part of the day and night he would remain in an ecstatic condition. Even a slight incident, the singing of a devotional song or the sight of anything which had a divine association, however remote, would throw his mind into samadhi, and he would become oblivious of his surroundings. He was more at home on the divine plane than we are on the earthly plane. So, we can know from this, most of the times Ramakrishna spent with a delightful condition. Any devotional song or any sight of heavenly things throw his mind into samadhi, and he became forgetful of his surroundings. But when Sharadamani arrived at Dakshineshwar, he was not forgetful of his duties to his wedded wife. If she so desired, Sri Ramakrishna was willing to sacrifice his very mission for her. But when Sharadamani arrived to Dakshineshwar, Sri Ramakrishna was willing to sacrifice his very mission for her also. And Ramakrishna was not forgetful of his duties towards his wife. Shardamani also, on her part, was too pure and noble to have the slightest inclination to drag her saintly husband to a life of worldliness. She clearly told him about this and readily responded to his ideas and aspirations. All that she wanted was to be near him and to have the privilege of serving him and molding her own life according to his direction. Sri Ramakrishna gave her that favor in abundance. So, Shardamani was ready to respond to her husband's aspiration. She wanted to be near him and serve him and wanted to mold her own life according to her husband's direction. Though the Holy Mother was accommodated at the Nahabad and in the course of the day could not meet the master because he had visitors. So, Shardamani was accommodated at the another building, Nahabad, and she could not meet with the master because he had so many visitors. At night, she was allowed to stay in his room and share the same bed with him. Only at the night, she was allowed to stay with her husband. Shardamani at this time would receive from her divine husband instructions in high spiritual matters as well as about mundane things. It was not a life of conjugal relations but of great spiritual training, so much so that the wife in Shardamani was marched in the despair in her. So, Shardamani was a devotee rather a wife. Afterwards, nobody could perceive in her utterance and behavior anything that betrayed her special claim on Sri Ramakrishna. She was only the humble disciple of the master and this was to her a matter of supreme joy and privilege. So, Shardamani got the great happiness, the delightness and the comfort by Ramakrishna's spiritual training. And she thought herself as a gentle and humble devotee of Sri Ramakrishna. Thank you.